My name is Nikki Mohan and I will be your host today. This is the third tutorial in the Fluency series called Solution Fluency. During the course of this tutorial, you will 1. Be able to give a working definition of solution fluency, 2. Be able to list the components of solution fluency, and 3. Be able to explain each of the 9 Ds: define, determine, discover, dream, design, deliver, diagnose, debrief, and decide. But before we begin, I want to welcome you to the Committed Sardine channel. We will start this third tutorial by using a simple graphic organizer, which many of you may be familiar with. We call this graphic organizer the 5 W's NH. I will do a quick recap of what the 5 W's and H stand for. What, when, why, who, where, and how. So pause the video and take a moment to write one question next to each of the 5 W's and H. Some questions you may have asked for what are: what is solution fluency? What does it mean to be solution fluent? What are the processes involved in solution fluency? What is an unconscious mental process? Some questions you may have asked for when are: when do I or we use solution fluency? When do I ask others to use solution fluency? Some questions you may have asked for why are: why is it important to use solution fluency? Why is it important to cultivate an unconscious mental process? Some questions you may have asked for who are: who needs to use solution fluency? Who would find it useful to acquire solution fluency skills? Some questions you may have asked for where are: where would I or we use solution fluency? Where would I find or see solution fluency in practice? Some questions you may have asked for how are: how do I use solution fluency? How do I apply solution fluency to my situation? How do I apply solution fluency to the real world or in a real world situation? In the first tutorial, we defined solution fluency as the ability to think creatively to solve problems in real time by clearly defining the problem, designing an appropriate solution, delivering the solution, and then evaluating the process and the outcome. This is about creativity and problem solving applied on demand. Now, the mental process that we have developed is called the 9 Ds process of problem solving. There are obviously 9 steps in this process. Now, let's dig deeper into each step. The first step in solving any problem is to take a moment and step back and state or define what the problem is, giving voice to it by writing it down and revising it until we have a clear understanding of the problem. To define a problem is to unpack the problem by restating it in your own words so that you understand what is being asked of you before you begin to solve the problem. You have to know what you are doing before beginning any work. Defining the problem in advance avoids misunderstandings and/or assumptions. At this point, we have the opportunity for formative feedback. The next step is determine. Determine who the target audience or audiences are. Who is experiencing the problem? Who is directly affected by the problem? Who can help solve the problem? Who needs to know about the problem? Who has the ability to make the project a success or failure? What is the desired action of the audience? Once you've defined the problem and determined who your audience is, then you can set out to discover. You want to discover what has happened before. What's the background to this problem? What do we already know about the challenge? What's the history that got us to this point? How have others tried to address the problem in the past? What mistakes were made? How could something have been done differently that would have produced a different result? Discover helps us gain a context to the problem. And it is about gathering information to help solve the problem. The next step in the 9D process is dream. At this stage, we allow students time to dream of the multitude of possible solutions to the problem. Dreaming is about imagining possible solutions as they might exist in the future. And because dream is a visioning process, an imagining process, there are no limits or restrictions placed on time, cost, or resources. Learners are asked to imagine all the possibilities regardless of impediments. The process that will bring the dream to reality is what we call the design stage. This step involves building a roadmap so that we can stay on track as we move toward our goal. It is an action plan that can be checked, discussed, re-evaluated, and modified. In design, we build backwards, from the future to the present, identifying the milestones and creating achievable deadlines, unpacking all the necessary steps to get us from here to there. The design becomes the step-by-step blueprint or roadmap between where you are and solving the problem, and the next steps help answer the question, what do I do next? And a logical strategy that keeps us on track and helps avoid wasted effort. Once the plan has been designed, it is time to deliver. It is time to deliver the goods. In other words, to do it, to put the plan into action. There are two components of deliver. First, to produce the solution, and second is publishing what has been created. The next step is diagnose, that is to determine whether the objectives as laid out in the defined stage were achieved. Diagnose is about assessment and evaluation of the original criteria. This could be the product, the process, or both. Usually at this point we quit. We sit back and we say, okay, I'm done. But we shouldn't be done. We've missed a valuable step, a great opportunity for improvement. Once you have completed the work, it's time to do something that is all too often overlooked. It's time to debrief. It is critical that we get our students involved in the evaluation of their work because group assessment, peer assessment, and self-assessment fosters personal ownership and responsibility. And finally, we get to decide, which is about students acting on those reflections, internalizing the new learnings, and transferring the learning to new and different circumstances. It's about applying what has been learned locally or globally in the real world outside of the classroom. Solution Fluency utilizes a structured process of the 9 Ds to help equip all our students with problem-solving skills, which is essential to not only survive but to thrive in the 21st century, therefore making it a critical part of our teaching, learning and assessment programs. Now, please revisit the graphic organizer, which is the 5 Ws and 8 chart you created at the beginning of this tutorial. Check which ones of your questions have been answered. You can place a tick against the ones that you can now answer and a cross next to the ones that remain to be answered. I'm sure many of the questions you still have will be answered in the tutorials in this series or at one of our workshops. Thank you for joining me for the third tutorial in this series. In the next one, we will take a close look at information fluency. If you enjoyed this session, please leave a comment below. Also tell us from where you are and a little bit about yourself. Please remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you are notified when we upload new videos. Thanks for watching. See you soon.